So we're here with Ben Hyman of Bentley Builders. Ben, thanks for being here with us.
Anytime.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
You're doing a great job. It's pretty amazing to see what you and your team have done. I mean, you've, while building out this church and building 32 units, you have come into plenty of hurdles, environmental things. Can you talk about some of those hurdles and unforeseen things?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of obstacles, anywhere from manpower has actually been our biggest, with trade contractors either not being able to fulfill what they could commit to, or manpower not being able to be on site when they want to. Supply chain hasn't hurt us too bad, but the manpower is still a factor. Environmental concerns was another good one that you brought up. Things that we encountered throughout the demolition phase that we didn't expect to see.
Asbestos.
Things that were, asbestos. We did know that because of the building's age and vintage, we knew it would be there, but then we found that as we peeled the onion back, there was things that just got capped. So what wasn't immediately obvious became more visible. So we wanted to do things right, both for our workers and for Greg, moving forward. We didn't want to just encapsulate and make it somebody else's problem. So between those two, those are the biggest pieces. And then when you come to any old building and rehab, you find things that you didn't expect because people cut corners or whatever the case may be. Just it doesn't quite play along with the way the building would otherwise go together. It doesn't meet current code, for example. So it's allowed us to, or required us to think outside the box a lot. So
it's like, and I got to tell you, Greg is, from what I hear, has been extremely happy with how you've been solving problem after problem after problem for him.
We try.
So Ben, it's like this project is like putting a square peg in a round hole. I mean, it seems like every time you get a little bit further, there's something else that's going to kind of stall you back a little bit.
Yes, it's that old adage, like one step forward, two steps back. It seems like that. But Greg's put his trust in us, and I appreciate the relationship that we've built. He's been very understanding and working through the process. It's a learning curve for both of us. I mean, I can't say that either of us have a church under our belt to rehab. So it's been an interesting process, but hats off to Greg for the vision and bearing with it, and we're working through it together.
When Greg brought this project to you, what do you think? Did you think this guy's insane?
No, I thought it was a pretty cool idea and one that I wanted to make work both for him and for myself, because a lot of jobs kind of fall into that same square box. Like you've done one school, you've done a million schools, they're all the same. This was really different. It required a lot of just creativity, and like I said, it kind of becomes a focal point or a feature of my portfolio as well as Greg's. So it was cool. Now it's trying to figure out how to make it work. So
absolutely,
it's been a challenge.
These old churches are the most beautiful buildings. I mean, they were made with love. They represent something really beautiful. As times change, unfortunately, people are moving away from some churches and whatnot, is what we're seeing. But these buildings were just left to rot pretty much. I think it's a pretty fantastic thing that we're using this for something good, and you guys are actually preserving the outside elements of this church.
A lot of the integrity of the building is actually staying intact. We're coming in, leaving the envelope, the outside structure alone with the replacement, actually with the exception of the replacing of the windows, to let more natural light in. But the building with just, if you didn't know any better, you'd drive by and think it was a church still. Now the inside is where the magic's happening ultimately.
Sure. Good stuff, Ben. And the last question for you. Away. The biggest challenge with outfitting a church, turning this church into a 2-floor housing unit. What has been the biggest challenge of that?
Maximizing space on the interior so that it's not just, you want each unit to have it, a unit. You don't want to be running things where it's just going to be in the middle of somebody's living room, right? So you've got to design the structure and all of the infrastructure, like the mechanicals, the electricals, plumbing, so that it's efficient for us to build as well as convenient for the homeowner down the road. So
perfect, man. You got to really think of things 10 steps ahead.
You have to. But hats off to the design team. They worked for this one.
Yeah, absolutely. You and your whole team and everybody else involved.
Appreciate
fantastic
the
project. Can't wait for the ribbon cutting. So the People's Parish is going to be completed by a target date of January 2024. Can't wait for you to see the finished product.